learners in the field of education. Specifically, for the doctoral programs, the Mathematics Education Study Program at UPI facilitates the development of doctoral qualified careers tailored to the goals, motivation, and needs of the global job market. The vision of the Masters of Mathematics Education program at UPI is to gain international recognition in the implementation of Master of Mathematics Education towards the leadership and excellence of Indonesian University of Education. To realize this vision, the UP Masters programs in Mathematics Education has the following mission. First, to improve the implementation of education and teaching and learning activities in the field of mathematics education to produce the high-quality master's graduates in mathematics education. Second, to enhance the quality of innovative research in mathematics education oriented toward national and international scientific publication. Third, to enhance the quality of community service based on research through seminars, workshops, conferences, symposia, or training programs to address various issues in society. Fourth, expanding collaboration network with scientific institutions or communities. Both are the national and international levels. Structurally, the master's program and doctoral program in mathematics education at UPI are led by head of study program who is responsible for managing academic activities and program development. In carrying out their duties, the head of study program is assisted by a secretary of study program who plays an important role in supporting the smooth running of administrative and academic coordination, also provides information and guidance to students. In carrying out their activities, the master program and doctoral program in mathematics education at UPI are strengthened by faculty members with excellent academic qualifications. There are over a dozen professors and more than 60% of faculty hold doctoral degrees. These faculty members conduct activities based on their backgrounds and expertise. The presence and performance of faculty members as academics form the primary foundation and motivation for supporting the educational process from instructional activities, academic development, to supervising students' final projects. The duties of the Mathematics Education Study Program leadership at UPI, the head and secretary are supported by competent and professional educational staff to ensure the effective and efficient delivery of academic and administrative services. The Mathematics Education Study Program at UPI implements an integrated quality assurance system managed by the Quality Assurance Unit or SPM, which oversees the implementation of academic standards to ensure quality is maintained. The Internal Quality Audit or AMI systematically evaluates the Mathematics Education Study Program at UPI to ensure alignment between implementation and UPI's internal quality standards. The Mathematics Education Study Program at UPI is supported by the Quality Control Team or GKM, which is responsible for monitoring, developing, and continuously
Okay, good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon, the Honorable Professor Al-Jupri, SPD, MSc, PSD, Vice Dean 1, Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences Education, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. The Honorable Professor Dr. Jarnawi Afghani Dahlan MKes, Head of the Mathematics Education Study Program. The Honorable Dr. Kartika Yulianti MSE, Head of the Mathematics Study Program. The Honorable all professors, lecturers, and all participants. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome to day 1 of the international seminar organized by the Mathematics Education Study Program and the Mathematics Study Program, Faculty of Mathematics and Natural Sciences Education, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. My name is Nadia Ulfa, and I will be your Master of Ceremony today. We will begin with a welcoming remark from Vice Dean 1, Professor Al-Jupri, SPD, MSc, PhD. Professor Al-Jupri, the time is respectfully yours.
Okay, thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable our guest speaker from France, Professor Hamid Chaachoua. Apologies for the not good in spelling of your name. Honorable of Head of Mathematics Education Study Program, Professor Dr. Janawi. Honorable Head of Mathematics Study Program, Dr. Kartika Yulianti, also Deputy of Mathematics Education Study Program, Dr. Ayus Sudihartini, professors, lecturers, students in this occasions. The students participant include bachelor's, master's, and PhD students, either from UPI, from Mathematics Education Study Program, and also from other universities. On behalf of the Faculty of Mathematics Education and Science, on behalf of the Faculty of Mathematics and Science Educations, we welcome you to international seminar, which is held by Mathematics Education Study Program and Mathematics Study Program of the Faculty of Mathematics and Science Education, Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. So this is a good cooperation between these two similar study programs to make this event occur. Ladies and gentlemen, in this seminar, as informed in the program, that the topic is about anthropological didactic, anthropological theory of the didactic. So we expect, as academia, we expect that we can learn from the expert from France about what is about this theory, how to apply this theory in either in research or in mathematics teaching. This is what we expect from these seminars. Also for students, probably students can learn insights, knowledge, experience from the experts and also from other experts, the other two speakers. So students can do and can use it in research or in other activities, academic activities. So again, thank you very much for the two study programs who held this the national seminar. So we expect not only students, not only lecturers can get benefit from this event. We also for participants coming from outside UPI, coming from other universities who participate in this important events. So again, thank you, and hopefully you get a fruitful information, fruitful knowledge, and insight from the experts and from others. Enjoy the seminar. Thank you very much. Billahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Professor Al-Jupri, to your speech. And next, the welcoming remark from the head of Mathematics Education Study Program, Professor Dr. Jarnawi Afghani Dahlan MKes. Professor Jarnawi, the time is yours.
Maybe
Saya datang ke beberapa program studi di UPI itu sudah seperti itu. Jadi misalnya dalam tugas perkuliahan untuk Misalnya ya, yang pernah saya datang.
I'm sorry, maybe represented with me, by me, Bu Nadia. Pak Jarnawi still meeting. Ya.
Please, Bu.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Yeah. To those I respect, Vice Dean, Prof. Al-Jupri, and head of study program of mathematic program, Ibu Kartika, and Prof. Hamid, lecturers and all students. Alhamdulillah, we are able together at this international seminar. We would like to express our deepest gratitude to the speakers, Prof. Hamid, Prof. Didi, who presented the topic Anthropology of Didactic Theory in Mathematics Education Research, Prof. Rizky, who presented the topic Algebraic Operator, and the invited speaker, Pak Dilham, Bu Amel, and Bu Fitri. Let us listen attentively to the speaker's presentation to enhance our knowledge. Thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Ayus Dayhartini, MPD, to your speech. And next is a welcoming remark from the head of Mathematics Study Program, Dr. Kartika Yulianti, MSE. Dr. Kartika, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Miss Na. I hope the connection will be stable. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Honorable Professor Hamid from France, Honorable Prof. Al-Jupri, PhD, Professor Dr. Jarnawi Afghani Dahlan as Head of Mathematics Education Study Program, Dr. Ayus Sudihartini as Secretary of Mathematics Education Study Program, the lecturer of Mathematics Study Program and Mathematics Education Study Program, and all participants of this international seminar. Thank you to each and every one of you for being here today at this Zoom meeting. I would like to thank to the speakers and the entire committee and all of participants. I hope this event will give you a lot of benefit, will give you more insight, information, and inspiration about anthropological theory of didactical from aspect of mathematics education, and about operator algebra from the aspect of mathematics. I hope by this international seminar, we can also share the research of each participant and maybe continuing with collaboration research. Ladies and gentlemen, let me once thanks again for your participation. Thank you. Hope you enjoy this seminar. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Dr. Kartika, to your speech. And next, ladies and gentlemen, before we begin this seminar, let us take a moment to pray according to our respective beliefs. The prayer will now begin. The prayer is concluded. Ladies and gentlemen, please be informed that certificates will be issued only to participants who have completed the payment and attended the seminar for all 4 days. The attendance link will now be shared in Zoom chat. And next, before we continue, we will have a group photo session. Please turn on your camera and give a smile. Okay. Slide 1. 1, 2, 3. Slide 2. 1, 2, 3. Slide 3. 1, 2, 3. And the last slide. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we will now proceed to the keynote session of day 1. Our keynote speaker is Professor Hamid Chaachoua. This session will be moderated by Mr. Dilham Valdian, MPD. He is a doctoral student in mathematics education at Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia and University Grenoble Alps. And his research interest in the didactical design, algebra learning, and the anthropological theory of the didactic. Without further delay, I would like to invite Mr. Dilham to take over this session.
Okay. Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the International Seminar on Mathematics Education held by Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia. My name is Dilham Fardian, a doctoral student majoring in mathematics education at Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, and I will be the moderator for these sessions. Okay. So today's sessions focus on anthropological theory of the didactics in mathematics education research. It is my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Professor Hamid Chaachoua, Professor of Mathematics Education at Université Grenoble Alps, France, and the Director of the INSPE, or Graduate School of Teaching and Education, of the Grenoble Academy. Since 1992, he has conducted research in mathematics education and technology-enhanced learning. His work has evolved from the integrations of digital tools in mathematics education to the modeling of students' knowledge, leading to the development of T4, type of task, technique, technology, theory, and technology-enhanced learning. Prof. Hamid obtained his master's degree in mathematics in 1991 from Université Joseph Fourier, followed by a master's degree in didactics of scientific discipline in 1993 from the same university. He then completed his PhD in didactics of scientific disciplines at Université Joseph Fourier, France, and later obtained the habilitation to supervise research, or HDR, the highest academic qualification in French systems. His HDR work, entitled Praxeology as a Didactic Model for the AAA Problematic, a case study on modeling student knowledge, was examined by a prestigious international committee chaired by Prof. Colette Laborde, Mariana Bose, Jeff Sefalard, Carl Winslow as a reviewer, and Maggie Snyder and Pierre Sonikin as examiner. In terms of academic leadership, Prof. Hamid has held numerous important positions. Since 2022, he has served as the director of the INSPE of the Grenoble Academy. Previously, he was the deputy director for academic affairs, head of the meta research team at the Laboratoire d'Informatique de Grenoble, head of the didactic team, Leibniz Laboratory, and so on. So before we begin, I would like to explain the session's guideline. The presentation will take approximately 45 minutes, followed by 15 minutes Q&A sessions. Please keep your microphone muted during the presentation. After the presentation, question can be asked by raising your hand or posting your question in the chat. Bonjour, Prof. Hamid.
Bonjour. Good morning.
Okay.
Salam alaikum.
Morning, Prof. Waalaikumsalam.
Salam.
Time is yours, Prof.
So, thank you very much for this up. It's okay?
Yes, Prof.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Can I begin?
Yes,
Yes.
Prof. Time is yours,
Okay.
Prof.
But thank you for this invitation, and I regret that I was unable to be with you today. And please excuse my bad English. In this presentation, I will present the anthropological theory of didactics and focus more specially central concept, the scope of technique.
I'm sorry, Prof. The
Yes?
screen is not full.
And okay, excuse me. Now. And now?
Okay.
It's okay?
Yes, Prof.
And now it's okay?
Yes, Prof.
Okay. So the ETD was developed by Yves Chevalard. In the first two lines, you can find his biography as well as some key in the development of the theory. ETD is an extension of the theory of didactic transposition. In the third line, you will find short presentation in English of the fundamental concepts. With the aim of developing an explicit modeling of mathematical activity as it takes place in different social institutions. One of the key notions of the anthropological theory of didactic is the notion of praxeology, was introduced. Praxeology does provide a fundamental tools for modeling mathematical activity as human activity in its own right. We can the general epistemological model provided by the ATD propose a description whose main components are type of tasks, like problem, techniques, technology, and theory. The most elementary mathematical praxeology consists of practical block or no-no, the praxis, integrating types of problem or types of task, and the techniques used to solve them, along with the theoretical block or knowledge as the logos, integrating both the technological and the theoretical discourse used to describe, explain, and justify the practical block. So we can represent the praxeology with 4 elements. For example, solving the first degree equation is type of task. For example, 2x plus 3 equal 11. Type of task is solving a linear equation of the form x plus b equal c. The techniques, one techniques. We can have many techniques, but one techniques is subtract 3 from both sides, then divide by 2. The technology can describe it with 3 elements, like the justification of technique used, adding of subtracting the same number to both sides of an equality does not change its validity. Dividing both sides by the same non-zero number preserves equality. And the theory is property of equality and the underlying algebraic structure. The fight of real numbers, axiom of equality, etc. So here we have one example of what we call one praxis, one of task, solve linear equation of the form ax plus b equal c. The second extension is the one I call T fortel, is the research carried out within my team Meta in the field of computer environment for human learning. This context is as the origin of development of the T fortel reference framework. Although this framework was motivated by needs related to TEL, it also finds its interest and relevance in research in didactic outside the field of TEL. The first development of T4TEL took place in the context of algebra and the development of the A plus X algebra software. Here. Within T4TEL, a technique is described by a set of types of tasks. For example, inference at the end of primary school, within the technique of adding two whole numbers, there exists at least 2 types of tasks. Putting the 2 numbers in the column and adding 2 whole numbers between 0 and 9. So we can describe this technique with 2 types of tasks. Each type of task has its own techniques. Now I will to present you the notion of praxeological dynamics. Our point of view is that mathematical activity does not take place by the simple meeting of there's stable praxeology. It is much more complex and results from the constant imbalance of this arrangement within an institution. As Chauvalar says, institutions are traversed by whole praxeological dynamic. This dynamic necessarily involves temporary mathematical type of task that will disappear during the chronogenesis of the study of subject, or praxeology that adapt, evolve over time, impacted by the integration of new praxeology. So, how can this praxeological dynamic be studied? In this presentation, we will present tools from ETD that allow us to analyze a curriculum offered by an institution from a dynamic point of view. In the following, we will use a case study to illustrate our tools and the concept. The first notion is didactic transposition. Excuse me, not transposition, didactic transposition. What is this notion? This notion is more general to understand how knowledge cross from one institution to another institution. So, a teaching object is therefore a construction resulting from a process, a complex process of transformation, most often initiated within the institution that produced it, what Chauvalar characterized as the process of didactic transposition. So we have scholarly knowledge to be taught, taught knowledge, and learned knowledge. The second notion that we have is dominant model. In any institution, there exists an implicit of the mathematical knowledge to be taught. This slide highlights an important idea in the ETD. In other words, when knowledge is transposed into a teaching system, a dominant way of thinking about and practicing mathematics is established, often without being made explicit. This dominant model results from a set of conditions and content that allow certain practice to exist within the institution while preventing others from emerging. As a consequence, some mathematical practices are made possible and legitimate while others are excluded. For understanding, excuse me, these undescribed and this dominant model, we need to elaborate what we call epistemological reference model. In the anthropological theory of didactic, there is a fundamental notion, the epistemological reference model. Bosch and Gascon Gascon said, research in didactics needs to elaborate its own models of reference to be able to avoid being subject to the different institutions observed, especially the dominant ones. There is no privileged reference system for the analysis of the different bodies of knowledge to each step of didactic transposition process. A case study that I will to present you is about the algebraic resolution of quadratic equation. One possible reference praxeological model of this type of task is described in this slide. I give you one description of 3 techniques for the type of task solve algebraically an equation of degree 2. Like you see, each technique is described as a set of task types. For example, the first technique is described with 3 types of tasks: transforming an equation into the form x equal 0. After we can factorizing the polynomial of the x, and after solve equation who has this form. The second techniques is described with 4 types of tasks. And the last discriminant is described with 3 types of tasks. So in this model, we can describe all techniques with a set of type of tasks. And each type of task, like this type of task has its own techniques. And his techniques is described but a set of type of task. So we have one structuration about this in this modulation. I will to present you now 2 kinds of praxeological dynamics. The first is this. If we consider the first techniques, null product is described with, as we say here, is described with 3 types of tasks. We say these 3 types of tasks are ingredients of these techniques. They exist as an object of study in themselves outside of these techniques. For example, we can study this type of task T factor before equation, the second quadratic equation. However, for this task types to become an operative ingredients of techniques, their own praxeology must have a certain stability tending towards the routinization of this task type. Otherwise, the implementation of technique prod null risk leading to failure through lack of control of an ingredients of the techniques. So, TE can be studied as an object, and then after he can becomes a tool as ingredients of the techniques. This dynamic is very important For example, T factor firstly is studied as an object and then becomes ingredient of these techniques. So he becomes a tool in not as an object, but as a tool in the techniques. This is the first type or kind of dynamics. The second kind of praxeological dynamics, to illustrate this second type of dynamics, I will draw on a comparative research study on the teaching of quadratic equation in 5 countries.
I'm sorry, the network in France a little bit unstable because now it's raining. So Prof. Hamid will join after this.
So I am sorry. I have one problem, but I don't know how many times I have a problem of connection. I will share again these. Is okay now? No.
It's okay, Prof.
It's okay? Okay.
Yes, Prof.
Okay. But I don't know what is the last slide.
This one.
One? Okay.
Yes, Prof.
Okay. No problem. Okay, okay, okay. 1 minute. Yes, here. And this, in this slide, is this okay or not? I have to present this slide. It's okay?
You still not present this slide.
Okay, okay. If I consider the reference praxeological model, in the analysis of the curricula of the 5 countries, we observe 2 technological environments that make it possible to produce the techniques of discriminant or the discriminant formula. And thus it associates a technique, these 2 technological environments are generated among other things by one of the techniques developed priori to institutionalization of discriminants, either the square root or the zero product propriety. In the other words, we see that these 2 techniques provide the technological condition for the emergence as a new techniques, that of discriminants. In Japan, in this slide, we can see how the discriminant formula is teaching. You can, excuse me, hopla. In Japan textbooks, the algebraic work leads to an equation where a quadratic polynomial is equal to a constant. Like here, polynomial, square polynomial is equal to a constant. And after, we use the square root as a technique to establish this formula of discriminant. Oh, I am very sorry. I don't know what happened. Okay. It's okay now?
Yes, Prof.
Okay.
You can continue, Prof.
I am very sorry. So here in the French textbook, the algebraic manipulation of trinom lead of quadratic expression minus a constant, like this. Here. Here we have a polynomial minus a constant. So the transformation is different from Japan. Why this transformation? Because we will use here the other techniques, the product, zero product. So we have two praxeological dynamics different between Japan and France. To understand these dynamics, we have to use another concept of ETD, is the scope of a technique. As he say, Chevalard, first of all, a technique, a way of doing things, only succeeded on a part of a scope. The type of task to which is related. A part that we call the scope of the techniques is it tends to file on an exterior. So that we can say that in general, we do not know how to accomplish type of task. And with my PhD student and other researcher, we have introduced three definitions of scope of techniques. The first is the theoretical scope of techniques. And after, the pragmatic and institutional. What is the theoretical scope of techniques? Is the set of tasks in which the technique enables any task in this set to be accomplished without consideration of condition of this execution. It will be noted like this. The pragmatic scope of techniques is the set of tasks in which the techniques is reliable in the sense that it allows this task to be accomplished with little risk of failure and at a reasonable cost. The technique tends to succeed within this scope and tends to fail outside it. It will be noted like this. But the institutional scope of the techniques related to the task type is the set of tasks where this technique is expected by institution. Generally, these three scope of techniques are different. It isn't the same. For example, here. For in this example, we have one techniques in France, but to do 5 plus 3. We can do these techniques. These techniques is we have to use our fingers. We use the fingers to do this operation. These techniques, what we call overcounting, we have to say in our mind 5, and then I use the finger 3, 6, 7, 8. It's possible for 125 plus 3 is possible, but it isn't possible or very difficult if we want to use these in this here. Here it's very difficult to use these techniques. But theoretical, it's possible. But in the pragmatic, it isn't possible. That is the difference between theoretical and pragmatic. Okay. Here I will to present you one dynamic possible about scope of techniques. Generally we have institutional scope of techniques included in the pragmatic, included in theoretical. Generally. It's often difficult to indicate the borderline of pragmatic scope. It's very difficult. The theoretical scope can only be questioned by reference knowledge, considered by the researcher, which we assume it's momentarily fixed theoretical static. On the other hand, the two other scopes, pragmatic and institutional, are potentially subject to various dynamics. In the case where there is only one technique for one type of task, the pragmatic scope also remains invariant. The institutional scope of technique may evolve because it is subject to the condition and the contents of the institution. For example, the equations are solved with integer coefficient and then extended to the rational. It is the choice of the institution. If other alternative techniques exist, What about pragmatic and institutional scopes? So we introduce the other nation is competition of two techniques. Because if we consider two techniques about related the same type of task, if intersection, we don't know intersection, how we call it, intersection between the pragmatic scope is now empty. The two techniques are said to compete on the type of task. We say is competitive domain of the two techniques. For example, here for solving this equation, we can use two techniques. Product null, zero products, and the square root. But here we can see the difference between these two techniques. These two techniques are in competition with each other. So, if in the institution there is only one technique, square root, and then product null is introduction, then the pragmatic scope will be reduced. It is the other kind of dynamics. So we can explain with this escape an example of possible dynamics separates the episode. Firstly, we have just one techniques, and we introduce the second techniques with his scope pragmatic, and in the third times, this separate only one techniques, introduce the new techniques, and reduce the scope of the first techniques. That is dynamic what we observe in the many institution. It is an a priori analysis of the pragmatic scope. Does the institution put in place the condition to support this dynamic? Here is the other computation about two techniques, square root and discriminant. For this example, we can say that the first techniques is very easy than the second. So we can say these two techniques are in competition with each other. But the first is more efficient than the second. So if in institution there is only one techniques first, and then the second is introduction, our question, what will happen? So here is the other dynamics. We have little scope of techniques, and then we introduce another techniques who has a scope very bigger. And after we separate. It is another praxeological dynamic possible in the process of studying the type of task. Only one techniques introduces a second with a great scope, and then we can have two dynamical possible of pragmatic scope. Institutional scope, excuse me. Okay. Here we can show one task in the textbooks in France, who we we propose to the students to indicate what is the best techniques. In this task, The double resolution required here shows the optimality of the techniques what we call produit nul or the proposed task. In fact, this call the tender organized by uh, 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 textbooks aims to limit the institutional scope by reducing this pragmatic scope in favor the product null. Actually, in France, we have this dynamical. Firstly, we introduce just the first techniques product null. After, we introduce discriminant 2 years later. But what happened to the students? It can be dealt with using the notion of personal scope. We have, say, later three type of scope, and we have 4 personal scope at the level of personal praxeology, which I have not presented here. In my conclusion, in the chronogenesis of institutional scopes, that praxeological organization adapts to the emergence of new techniques. Competition between techniques, the maturation of technological environment, and institutional choice condition the future of these practices, some of which will disappear and the other will experience temporary stability. The scopes of the techniques help us to understand the reality of an educational institution. They can also then help us to design courses of study not considered by the dominant model. And in the conclusion, let me to indicate you that actually Dilam Fardian is working about comparative analysis between Japan, Indonesia, and France about linear equation, and he used these concepts in his study. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Prof, for that insightful presentation. We learned many things about anthropological theory of the didactics in mathematics education. So we will now move on the Q&A sessions. If you have a question, you can either raise your hand in the Zoom function or type your questions in the comment. So if you want to ask a question, please raise your hand or comment in the chat.
In the chat, it's possible in the chat, yes.
Yes. So actually, Prof, we in Indonesia a little bit difficult to learn about anthropological theory of didactic because the reference in ATD usually using French or Spanish language, so we a little difficult to understand it. So it will be a very good opportunity for us to learn about anthropological theory of the didactic with you.
Okay. I have my presentation doesn't present all concepts of ATD, but just one concept of techniques. But exactly, it's very difficult to access in the texts, ATD text, because it's mostly is in French or Spanish. Yes, it's one difficult. Yes. But in
Give
the
me
in tradition, we have I indicate one lines for the English course of ATD. It's very easy.
Maybe if there is new people want to ask, I will ask something to you. In your concept, you developed the T4 TEL, or type of task, technique, technology, and theory, and then combine with technology enhanced learning. What the reason you combine it with technology enhanced learning? Is it not possible to analyze just using four components of praxeology, which is type of task, technique, technology, and theory?
Ah, uh, yes. No. For the technology, I developed this because I need to have one model who can be described in the computer. But
Mm.
actually, I use this formalization in the didactic research without technology. And what I show you today is the model of describing of techniques. When we can describe techniques is a set of type of task, they can show the different praxeological dynamics. And these praxeological dynamics, it isn't for technology enhanced. No, it is for didactic mathematics. So my presentation, it isn't for the technology enhanced learning. No, it's just for mathematics education.
Okay, thank you, Prof. If you want to ask a question, please write in the comment or raise your hand in the Zoom. We still have 10 minutes if you want to ask. We have rarely to see a presenter from the France. Actually, Anthropological Theory of the Didactic originally born in France. So if you have study with Anthropological Theory of the Didactic in your dissertation or in your thesis, it is a good opportunity for you to ask your question.
After I can send you my presentation to share
Yeah.
my presentation. Yeah, no problem.
Okay. We have
One
question,
question.
Prof, in the chat. When we are doing the study of the transposition in the school mathematics, I often have difficulty in getting the reference on which the theory or logos blocks is addressed. For instance, in the topic of decimals, of percents, or fraction, what kind of scholarly knowledge we need to study before proceeding into the praxeological analysis?
Decimal percent fraction, what kind of scholarly knowledge we need to study before proceeding into okay, oui, yes, I will to present this. Alors, getting the reference, what we say, the reference, the epistemological model reference, or what? you mean the reference in the equation?
Can you explain more, Mr. Sanisara, what you mean? Is it a reference epistemological model?
Check. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Prof. Hamid, for the insightful presentations. My question is actually when we are analyzing the lower class of classroom, for instance, like the elementary school, like when we are doing the praxeological analysis for fractions or decimal percent, when we are studying the reference for example, for the transposition analysis, of course, we have to study first for the scholar knowledge before we can do the analysis for the next knowledge to be taught, the taught knowledge and learned knowledge. Firstly, we must understand the mathematical understanding before that, right? So my question is, for the lower classroom, like maybe fractions, decimal, what kind of reference should we learn? Because it often really hard to search for the real mathematics textbooks for like fractions. As long as I know, there are lots of fractions books, but maybe most of them are the fractions textbooks. I mean, for the school presentation of fractions, not really the fractions in mathematical way. So how do we maybe get the reference for the scholarly knowledge of the lower classroom of praxeological analysis? That's it, Prof. Thank you.
Okay. Um, it's this question is very difficult because when we have to study the transposition, the researcher has to elaborate the praxeological model of reference. But we don't have one praxeological model of reference. We can have many types of reference praxeological model because it depends of research question. If I change research question, I have to change or adapting the praxeological reference model. So if I have to analyze in the primary school, what we have to teach about one topics like decimal percent fraction, the logos block is is implicit in the institution. It's or it's how we call it isn't rich. It is a very reduced and but in the reference praxeological model, we have to describe what the logos block is possible for this institution. So one remarks, the logos block, it isn't necessarily one theory of mathematics. No, it's one discourse who can explain the praxis. The logos can be little. The logos can be just one statement or one element of mathematics who can explain the praxis. The logos is what's everything that we can permit to the student to understand why the praxis is validity. So it's for the praxeological analysis, we sometimes we have very difficult to explicit the logos block. Yes, because for for many research, they interpret that the logos is the good statement of mathematics propriety, etc. But no, the logos it's any things that we can to permit to understand, to produce, to techniques.
Okay. Thank you very much, Prof, for your answer. It's we have one question again from the chat. In terms of ATD, Anthropological Theory of the Didactic, there's terms reference epistemological models. It is same terms
Yeah.
as praxeological reference model, and what the function
Yeah.
in ATD analysis?
Yes. Yes. Enfin, the reference epistemological models, it's more generally. When we use the praxeological like as model for the activity, we call reference epistemological model as praxeological reference model. In the other word, a praxeological reference model is reference epistemological models when the activity is modeling by praxeology. So we can describe reference epistemologic models without praxeology in the other model. In this case, we say just reference epistemological models. But when we use praxeological as model for activity, we say praxeological reference model. In the ATD is the same. But in the TSD, in the theory des situations didactiques, we can develop the epistemological reference epistemological models without praxeology. So we can't call praxeological reference model. Is clear?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Thank you.
Because we have limited time, maybe there's anyone want to ask a question? I think they understand what you said about anthropological theory of didactic. So in Indonesia, Prof, anthropological theory of didactic is relatively new for us. Prof. Didi Suryadi was the first people that introduced these terms in Indonesia, especially in
It's the
mathematics
first time.
education. Yeah, so
Okay.
we have many knowledge for you in this presentation. Okay.
Oh,
If
okay.
okay, so thank you very much, Prof. Before
Thank
we
you.
close today's session,
Yes, thank you very much.
maybe Prof. Didi want to ask some question before we.
No.
Yes.
I thank
Thank you very much. Just I want to say thank you very much, Prof. Hamid. You have a very important presentation about ATD, and I hope that our students in Indonesia will interested more to do their research using ATD approach. So thank you very much again.
Thank you very much, Prof. Thank you.
Okay. So before we close our sessions today, on behalf of the Mathematics Education and Mathematics Study Program at Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, I would like to present an online certificate of appreciation to our speaker, Professor Hamid Chaachoua. The certificate is given in appreciation of your contribution to the speakers in today's international seminars on anthropological theory of the didactic in mathematics education research. Also, the certificate is presented online. We truly appreciate your time and the insightful presentation you share with us today. On behalf of Mathematics Education and Mathematics Study Program at Universitas Pendidikan Indonesia, I hope this will be the beginning of continued collaboration between our institutions in the future. Thank you very much, Prof, for the very insightful presentation and for answering our questions. I would like also thank to all participants for attending and actively engaged in today's seminar. We hope you found the sessions informative and valuable for your study and research in mathematics education. Have a great day, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I now hand the sessions back to the MC.
Yeah,
Thank you
thank you
very
very
much.
much to Professor Hamid Chaachoua for the insightful presentation and to Mr. Dilham Fardian for moderating today's session. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, please make sure you have filled in the attendance form. The link will be shared in Zoom chat. We look forward to your participation in day 2 of the international seminar tomorrow with the keynote speaker is Professor Dr. Didi Suryadi MED with the same link. And thank you for joining us today. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam.